when it comes to the Eagles and players that the fan base does not have or next to little faith in left. But in particular, when it pertains to a guy such as JJ Whiteside, as for me, and I know it's hard in cases to be positive for some of these guys in the midst of the amount of patience that we have had in some of them. But for JJAW, I do believe he has one saving grace left that could potentially revive his career as a Philadelphia Eagle and or beyond when it comes to playing now the tight end position. What is up, Bird brothers and sisters? Lindy Endzone is back for the touchdown, taking the lead for the Philadelphia Eagles, one video at a time. And yes, as you can obviously see, we perked up the background a little bit, and got us a little bit of an upgrade here. And now that now my microphone is a bit visible now. Took the advantage in finding a microphone stand and a setup to add a little pizzazz and professionalism to my channel here. I don't know where I'm going with that, but I had to take advantage of the opportunity while it was there and investing in something like this for as cheap as it was, and it makes me feel a little bit better about myself. I'm just playing, but I appreciate y'all for sticking around to the channel as my subscriber count has went through some ups and downs that as of late and whatnot, and coming off the midst of episode 16, a touchdown talk with Philly Mike, and shout out to him once again for paying a visit to the channel for the first time, and chopping it up on some Eagles football, and the last video I made about the cornerback position, what it has, and what we can look for going forward at the future of the position. Now at this point, it's been a little bit since I dropped a legitimate video, and aside from the Lindy Endzone streams, hope everybody, as a side note, I hope everybody had a happy and safe 4th of July. Although unfortunately we can't say the same around the country as for Philadelphia and what happened just outside of Chicago, and big prayers up to all the families that went through the unfortunate tragedies that they have did. And I have I have a little story. I have a little story for y'all when it comes to myself. Where I live at here, we had some storms coming. We had some storms coming through the area, and this was overnight going into 4th of July, I believe. As a coincidence, and we heard throughout the neighborhood, and around 2 in the morning there was a loud bang. That was pretty close to some other homes, and turns out that one of the trees in my front yard got struck by lightning. Yeah. Didn't see something like that coming. The way that it got struck the way that the lightning struck the tree, it kind of severed the tree into kind of a fork. The point of impact, severed a portion of the tree that collapsed into the other tree. I have 2 in the front yard, and then the portion of the tree collapsed into the other one. At least it didn't hit. At least that part of the tree did not hit the house. I got to knock on wood. Especially for the fact that because of the way that it was struck by the lightning, now I have two severed points on the tree that are kind of split it into thirds, and being that it was as far down on the trunk as it was, there's a bit of a weak point there. So I'm hoping that overnight nothing doesn't happen in terms of the tree potentially hitting my house. Not trying to create any bad luck here, but nonetheless, I have I have an estimator coming out, a tree services tomorrow. So hopefully this gets taken care of right away, because I don't want to take out an insurance claim on my home that I've only been in since last October. But nonetheless, let's get into a little bit of the conversation here that I've wasted 5.5 minutes. But I do appreciate y'all sticking around for that little ramble that happened. So, into the topic of JJ Arcega-Whiteside here, and I know that this is a subject of unpopular conversation, unpopular opinion, however you want to take it. But in the case of whether he still has a chance left to make an impact on this football team, I'm going to be honest with y'all. After looking at it from a specific perspective, I think he does still have a chance. And well, you're saying, well, Lindy, why the hell are you saying that? I mean, it's taken this kid going into his fourth year as a second round pick from Stanford to not really show anything on the football field. Well, why the hell is it any different this year? Well, I'll tell you. Firstly, he transitioned from being a wide receiver to a tight end. Being that the situation of him as a receiver wasn't working out due to obvious reasons, and the team upgrading the depth around him, not just this year, but in terms of last year and the year before, when they've tried to make something work out of Jalen Reagor and the addition of Devontae Smith and Quez Watkins turning out to be great value as a 6th round pick. Even throw John Hightower into the mix there. As he at one point showed a little bit more promise than Arcega-Whiteside. I think that's one argument that you can make, although him and JJAW could very well be in the same boat going into this season. However, when you look at the tight end position right now in the switch that JJ decided to make, outside of Dallas Goedert, you have a undrafted rookie in Jack Stoll entering year 2 with a pretty good head start amongst the rest of the, individuals that are still on this football team. When you think of Noah Togiai, of course, Arcega-Whiteside, Grant Calcaterra as a draft pick this year, taken in the 6th round. And then you look at Tyree Jackson, who is recovering from injury and ACL tear, and Richard Rodgers still has a spot on this roster. Well, okay. Where am I going with all this? Okay, well, here's the thing. There was a player on the Eagles that he was an undrafted rookie free agent out of Florida back in 2014. He climbed up the ranks and was most notably beginning to get more involved into the offense around Carson Wentz's rookie season. That player in particular just so happens to be Trey Burton, who was a part of the heroic and most gracious Super Bowl winning football team of the Eagles in 2017. Most notably, him being the one to throw the football on that ever so gutsy call of the Philly special to Nick Foles and going for it on 4th and goal. That was your guy taking the pitch and throwing the football to Nick Foles. That Trey Burton. Well, being the obvious to point out here that the draft value between Arcega-Whiteside and Trey Burton was, a tale of two extremes being completely different, whereas JJ was a 2nd round pick out of Stanford in his draft class, and Trey Burton, like I said, was an undrafted rookie free agent coming from the Florida Gators. Well, after going through, after going through some video and some analysis as to really how Trey Burton was used in those couple of years in which he started to, in which he started to grow in his usage in the offense. Well, basically, he was just another receiver on the field. He used his size to his advantage, and now this is where the other example of a similarity comes in. Trey Burton, as of right now, stands at 6'2", around 240 pounds. The lightest he weighed at one point as a rookie was 225. JJAW right now is also 6'2", at 237 pounds. So, respectively, at this point in both of their careers, Trey Burton being, he'll be 31 at the start of this season, and, with JJAW entering his fourth year in the league, well, to bulk up to play the tight end role, that's where JJAW currently is right now. And, well, if we remember in that 2017 season, Trey Burton was only the third tight end in the depth chart. Brent Selleck was the number 2 behind Zach Ertz, who had arguably between 16 and 17, he had Pro Bowl caliber numbers consecutively. So, in the midst of the situation being different to whereas now Dallas Goedert is the bona fide number 1 and tight end number 2, still kind of a question mark right now with, people may or may not deciding on, well, is Jack Stoll going to be that guy? Do they want to utilize the effectiveness of one Grant Calcaterra? Is Tyree Jackson going to be healthy in time? Is Richard Rodgers going to take that veteran role into the mix? Well, I think this is where opportunity can take shape for J.J. Arcega-Whiteside. So, going back to what I was talking about in the usage on how Trey Burton was featured in that offense in 2017, and we can also go to when Trey left the Eagles that year and went to the Chicago Bears in 2018. Between 17 and 18 were his 2 most active seasons in the NFL, to where in 18 it was the most active because he received 76 targets, catching 54 of those. To whereas being the number 3 in an Eagles offense who won the Super Bowl in 17, he only had 31 targets but caught 23. So having a catch percentage that's about 75% is pretty darn good for a tight end. And I put that in quotations because, well, that's the situation that Arcega-Whiteside is in right now. So being that if he didn't work at the receiver position and really couldn't climb his way up the depth chart, being that there's a little bit of a level of uncertainty as who the number 2 can possibly be, us assessing this in the matter of, well, we believe that Jack Stoll is a better blocker than he is a receiver. And that's kind of the position that Arcega-Whiteside is in right now, to whereas, well, as a receiver last year, he was on a lot more blocking assignments than he was as a pass catcher. So if that's something that he can really hone into and create a role out of that, more so at a position that kind of has more of a need for that kind of fit, then this is where an opportunity like this can benefit him in the long run if it's not with the Eagles and he has to move on to, to keep his NFL career alive, whether it's as a tight end, whether it's as a receiver, so on and so forth. But, well, we'll see what happens in training camp. But going again, I keep distracting myself from this to remind of what I wanted to get out. But to go back to what I was watching and how Trey Burton was used in the in a little bit of 2016 where Carson was a rookie and in the Super Bowl run of 17, well, really, he does a lot of things similar. He does a lot of things similar to what Goddard was what Dallas Goddard has been subjected to. Whether it's sitting in soft spots in the zone coverage, on quick routes or a crosser going across the middle. Even utilized in screenplays. That's where, for a second round pick in terms of JJAW, he should be more than capable of doing simple route concepts and assignments in that regard. To which, when you look at the production of Trey Burton, you see, well, in 17 in a limited role as the number 3 tight end, he had 248 yards, averaged 11 per catch, 5 touchdowns, 14 first downs, his longest reception being of 27 yards, while averaging only a catch and a half a game. That's pretty good. So, and taking it in the regards of in that year, in the Super Bowl run, the Eagles had better depth at running back than they did wide receiver. When you're looking at guys like Aguilar, Alshon Jeffrey, Torrey Smith, and then you look behind them and you see guys like Mac Hollins who rotated between the slot and the outside. You look at Shelton Gibson and you look at Marcus Johnson. Well, on the flip side, their run game was was heavily armored, if you will, with LeGarrette Blount, Jay Ajayi, Kenyon Barner, Wendell Smallwood, and Corey Clement. Well, in the case of this year, the receiver position has a lot more depth than running back. Now, what does that say about the team going? What does that say about the team going into this season? Who knows at this point? Obviously, they're going to want to throw the football a lot, but nonetheless, being that as it may, for the case of Arcega-Whiteside, if he wants to really hone in on that kind of opportunity, and if the Eagles approach this when they're developing the game plan between Sirianni and Shane Steichen and their tight ends coach and Jason Michael, well, if they feel that Arcega-Whiteside could fill a role that Trey Burton was able to between the Philadelphia Eagles for 2 years in 16 and 17, and then when he moved on to the Chicago Bears, honestly, I think this is where JJAW can show a little bit of something. Now, yeah, I understand that we talk about a lot that we're so negative and we feel that there's just absolutely no hope for these kinds of players. Well, at the end of the day, I don't know. I mean, I'm trying to approach this from a more logical standpoint in what a player brings to the table, and when you look at it that way, I think that's where that last sliver of hope is going to come if JJAW is used the way the Eagles used Trey Burton in 2016 and 2017. They're the same. They're the same stature. JJAW should be a better route runner. He should be better with catching the football. That was one thing he was known for coming out of college. Him as one of the top red zone threats in all of college football, and just the representation that he had coming out of Stanford, where the Eagles have already hit on Zach Ertz, and they hope to do the same thing again with JJAW and his story coming out of college. Now, like I said, it's a tale of two extremes here, where they got this kind of production out of Trey Burton, who was an undrafted rookie free agent back in 2014. Arcega-Whiteside's his second round pick. Now, I understand where the justification is going to eventually come from in that regard. But in the case of JJ, that is my saving grace for him. And I do believe that it could very well be legitimate. And well, that's going to do it for me. I apologize that this video is in, well, almost excess of 20 minutes. So if you made it to the end of this presentation, I appreciate y'all very dearly. Still on the quest to 300 as the next milestone in subscribers. Be sure to also give a look over to the Sideline Sports Network and Philly Jim's channel for our podcast, Linc'd In, that premieres every Friday evening at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Episode 9 will be coming your way this week with a docket of topics that we, are still in development at the moment, but nonetheless, I love what I do over on the podcast over there. Jim and I have, again, not to continue to pat ourselves on the backs, but I believe we're doing an awesome job in what we are providing in terms of a perspective of content. So if you haven't checked it out yet, please be sure to do so. And well, for my, as for my channel as well, but that'll finally do it. You guys already know the deal. Fly Eagles, fly bleed green. That's how it goes. Take care of yourselves. Everyone stay safe. Hope you had a great 4th of July. This has been Lindy, and I will see you next time. Take care.